Welcome to CathyDSlaught's SRC4u Zoom call for December 17th, 2021. We're here on Cathy's website, CathyDSlaght.com. We're going to scroll down here and we're going to look for this Zoom banner to click through to the Zoom platform. Before I do that, please know that if you'd like to be part of Cathy's SRC4u Daily Energy Clearing Group, as discussed in the Zoom call, the information's here. Just click through. We're going to go to the Zoom platform. We're here on the Zoom platform where I will approve to go in, but please, you might want to bring down your volume some because when it goes through, it will be very loud. Hold on.
Well, here we are at 10, and right before we started, because we had still been running, we finished, so we're going to just, this might be interesting to just have a blank slate today because of what we're going to do. Let's just go in here. First of all, thanks again so much, Elizabeth, for going over the Merkaba yesterday with us. And that kind of spawned a little something else. But first of all, some notes. Nydia mentioned, if anybody's interested, this Edward group out of Houston, Texas, this guy teaches an 8-day water fast for getting your stem cells production up. So you can look into that. I mentioned yesterday this network spinal care in the class, the Alexander technique, which a friend of mine who I consider a very savvy energy worker is raving about. Then we've got the chaotic science that Elizabeth mentioned, and then this learning herbs, which I think is a terrific site if we can think of, get the time to keep looking at it, all kinds of recipes and so, you know, education. Anyway, so if you think of from yesterday, the Merkaba as a geometrical structure, which is interesting because thoughts are also geometrical structures. And some people can see those structures. I know years ago there was a healer and she was phenomenal. And what she could actually do is see the geometric thought forms coming out of the person. And she would like grab a hold of them and be able to tell the people all kinds of things about themselves. And she was so interesting because she would work with a person up to 7 times. And if they were not changing, then she just said, bye, your resistance is too high. So it was quite interesting. Anyway, so the Merkaba, it's also a geometrical structure. It combines dualities. This is the information from yesterday, considered by some to be the ultimate protection. It's going to enhance oneness. So with that in mind, first, here is something that came out in the email yesterday from the Court of Atonement group. And this, so many people are not feeling safe. They may have found they had a diagnosis that's physical, or they may have, just looking at the world, whatever. Let's just see, since we have a completely blank slate here, if we would like that Court of Atonement. We have to adapt it a little because it's not for an individual. Priority for Chi, Court of Atonement. I am safe. Yeah, we'll take it. Let's see how we can modify that. We do need our names. I, as a member of the Daily Energy Group. And then, of course, put your own name in. Place each and let me see if I can move things around. Each and every level of my consciousness that does not feel safe into a full Court of Atonement. I ask to resolve any and all reasons I do not feel safe at their point of origin. I ask for amenable dissolution of this energy. I ask for divine intervention to ensure my safety. Let's just go ahead and put that in there. And then that kind of brought into, with what Elizabeth had talked about. And then you see this is talking about each and every level of consciousness. a little thought about the all of our subtle bodies, which I think yesterday, as you know, we mentioned Western looks at physical for the most part, and only looks at physical if there's something wrong with it. And yet physical, according to what we're learning from technology, is like a little blink. It's nothing compared to the power of all these energy fields that surround us. And the interesting thing is that most of us have no knowledge of that or even acceptance of it because we can't see it. And it may be the actual reality and truth of our existence. And I had a couple of things happen yesterday that were interesting in reference to that. So some of this I just put in to see if we ever get a code. And I think the healing grab-a-boy people get tired of me asking, and so a lot of times I'll get a code. But even if you don't have a code, you still can put the words in. You know how powerful the words are. And let's just douse that up. Recognize the existence of subtle bodies. Interestingly enough, animals can see more fields than people. And they say that's why they know, like when you're coming home, it doesn't matter if you've got a different car, take a different route, doesn't matter. Your animal, especially if it's a dog, is by the door. So
I'll give you another example of that. I used to go for a walk in the afternoon, and I pass a lot of dog walkers and dogs in their yard along the way. And there was a couple of weeks ago, I found that dogs were really barking at me, in a very fierce sort of way. And so I called a friend of mine who's able to discern whether or not you have an entity or whatever. And he said, "Oh, yes, you do." Mm-hmm. And so I as you often say, Cathy, even the most negative experiences are just ultimately learning experiences. Right. So when that happened several times, I thought, well, those dogs are telling me something that I was not aware of. Yep. And so it was really a great help to me.
I have a little spook detector here with Sir. And so Sprout didn't seem to do that, but Sir does. And it's very interesting. So thank you. I think our dogs and the cats too. Rupert Sheldrake is funny. He's the scientist who has done all this double blind stuff. He says cats see all the energy too, but they just don't care. I don't know about that. But anyway, look at here. Repair all damage to the energy field. Look at that. There, although it is going to go up to 100, that's probably something we might want to consider putting in our daily scan. Now, here's a few things that can damage the energy field. Medications, drugs, alcohol. These two are big because they do create actual tears and holes in the aura. Radiation, poisonous chemicals, gases. I don't know what that means exactly, but it was in the group. Many are saying that the COVID-19 vaccine damages the energy field. I don't know. You just have to do your own research on that. But some energy workers that can see all this, say there is a separation of the physical body and then the subtle bodies. I can't comment on that. And then the actual birthing process can be extremely traumatic and can damage the subtle bodies. Now, this is all repairable. But a couple of things that are mentioning is there can be a partial loosening or detachment of the silver cord anchored in the crown chakra from not only a real traumatic birth experience, but if the mother has been doing substance like alcohol or drugs. So what you want to do is protect the silver cord anchored in the crown chakra. That probably wouldn't be a bad thing anyway. Let's just see.
Cathy, with regard to the vaccine, I don't think we can begin to understand the negative effects of that vaccine. Among other things, I remember watching an interview maybe a year ago or so, and they were talking about how they had found something that could actually remove whatever impulse there was in human consciousness to reach out for God. Mm-hmm. And they were so proud of themselves that they had been able to identify what it is, in the brain or whatever that is able to do that. And I've heard reports from, from energy healers who have dealt with vaccine people, who have said that, that God element seems no longer to be present in that individual. And often these individuals will say, I just can't feel God anymore. That has to be the most tragic thing that anyone could possibly experience.
If they're even aware, they can't. So many, don't have that awareness. So that's really tragic, because it's your more sensitive people. I don't know. I think some can get past this. They get the jab and they can get past all that. That might be something to think about, whereas others are very sensitive to it. I don't know, but it's definitely something that's being reported, is that the subtle bodies are being thrown off. Now, this was an interesting one. I was just kind of brainstorming.
One last thing, Cathy. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is important. Apparently, there are 3 different categories of vaccinations. Who knows what there is now. But some are simply saline. Some have some beneficial aspect to them. And the third one is what they call the kill shot. So not everyone receiving the vaccine is going to experience negative effects. And that's what's confusing to people, because they'll see relatives who have had the vaccine and no problem. So they think, well, I'll go ahead and do it too. But you never know which one you're going to get. And certain injections are targeted for certain people or for certain groups or whatever. So it's, it's really complex.
Here is another thought, and this is, if you talk about the subtle bodies, then you realize many of us are conditioned to not even think in terms of, that approach. And just the way I put it is conditioning to believe healing can only be accomplished by ingesting capsules, pills, and liquids, and or being cut or burned. And let's just, for the heck of it, we're taking 10 hours to clear that. And that's not to say, I believe in combining Western and Eastern. I don't believe in just one or the other. But then what happens, they say, is that when we are not aligned with our subtle bodies, our physical body and that consciousness may put us off on some tangents that are really not the desires of our soul. And let's just see how we look with dowsing that code in. Okay, so we'll take that one. And then clear non-beneficial belief systems, enriched habits, and attitudes in a perfect and correct way. So in other words, any of these things that might be coming in through whatever alignment we have that are not serving us. And from what I'm learning, which is an area I've never gotten a whole lot into, a lot of this is past life stuff that we come in, we get chance after chance to clear it. Well, anyway, we'll just douse that in. Now, so this is where yesterday I got a couple of little signs that we might be onto something. I had someone in the energy group that when I did the separate scan, she looked terrible, and so I texted her, and it turned out she was in the hospital for high blood pressure, very serious. When I went in, I decided to give this a shot, and she wanted 24 hours to clear negativity lodged in the subtle bodies. Now, let's go ahead and just do that for the group. We don't necessarily have a code, but you can always, do anything with these different tools. $17 hours, so that wouldn't hurt just to keep up with that one. Strengthen the energy field. There are no codes yet. We may have them at some point, but we don't need them. The words are so powerful. And then just a few other things, neutralize irradiation in the energy field, etc. You can add if you like. Then I want to mention a book. I had looked at this years ago, but now I'm revisiting because I'm looking for things we can do with our water. And that book, The Healing Bath, any of you that work with essential oils, you may want to take a look at this book. This woman is doing phenomenal work with certain, and I haven't gotten as far yet in the book as I did years ago as to the various combinations, but it's all in there. But she says there is nothing like essential oils. You know, we talked about flower essences, but she says, and I kind of think she's right, there's nothing like the combinations of essential oils to heal holes and tears in the aura. And as you know, and then she mentions another thing which gets you to thinking, the condition of the aura has a major impact on our sense perceptions and how we take in everything around us. This could be, as she says, why eyewitness accounts vary so much. It might actually be in reference to the condition of our own subtle body. Let's just go in here and douse some of these things in. And if you're not comfortable with these codes, just, don't use them. Don't use them. Clear and release negative charges.
And just on that topic, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I just keep calling in Archangel Michael. Anyways, Audrey and I are having quite the experiences here lately. And so Cathy and I had talked regarding spiritual attacks. And maybe that's why I keep calling in Archangel Michael and asking for my guides to help me, because I'm like, I've never done this before. And here recently, I'm doing it a lot.
And that I am safe should also be very powerful for you. That cord of atonement. Can y'all hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. Anyway, because Joanna's voice was very faint. Could you all hear Joanna?
Yeah.
Yeah. Clearly. Everybody's voice, I realize, is now very faint coming in. Anyway, with this understanding of all these bodies we have, with that should come an increased awareness and actually a sense of responsibility that each of us, is a significant part of the whole. And so let's go in here and just see where we are with that as a group. Okay, look at that. Whoa. So then this is from Dr. Kersey, and this is the 7 bodies scan. And I thought it might be interesting, and again, we'll do it now, just for the group. And then if you want to, of course, do this for yourself or your clients, you've got the list now. But let's see, as a group, where we are, what is the most out of balance, if any. We may not have one. Well, we don't have one. Look at that. Get my eyes closer. What's the lowest one? The lowest is the will spirit body, so we'll do that. So it's kind of interesting. Let's get down here. So I'm just looking closely. Okay, will, spirit, body on a mental level. No, I didn't. Was it blocked or was it open? two blocked or two opened, I should say. Let's see. It looks like more of a stress related to be blocked. We could go in. This is, again, another thing I did yesterday. It ended up a total of 3 people with some real interesting physical challenges. And I went in and did this kind of thing, and they asked for hours and hours and hours. So let's just go in and ask to balance. Will, spirit, settle body. See what we come up with. 18 hours, again, all settled energy. This might be something even, for a while now to start the day with and just see where you are. Now, if you go on down, there's a lot of information in this scan. And what Dr. Kersey is recommending with this, but this was way before the days of the SRC, is to just go in and make yourself a custom affirmation. And you could do that as well. I'm going to speed this up a little. Okay. So it looks more like we have a stress related on the mental level of being blocked. So that would, in this case, indicate poor attitude towards self, fear, and holding back in areas. And let's just take that, and you could certainly write an affirmation. Too open indicates too egotistical. So let's go in here. And again, I don't think there really is a negative we learn from these things. Look at that. And you could even look here. And we could, design something with the recharger. Why don't we just clear that, see if we can. But as you know, the biggest thing is the information. At least that's what I come to believe, that just even knowing this, your brain kicks in and begins to correct it. Let's see where we are. 10 hours, so it gives us that information. So I think that is an interesting scan, and I think it can really be worked with. So if we go in here now, let's just see where we are. With that good old wonder click. And while that is calibrating and so on and so forth, let me show you where we are. I've been really playing around with this timeline, waiting for 2 15s in a row, not getting them yet, so that's why I have an update. I want to continue with this and see what happens. But for example, cold flu, we keep coming back and forth with that. And this is a group. So let's see where we are now. I'm going to go down to a 50. Fractured soul is a big one. It goes down a little bit. That, this is sometimes it takes a lot of persistence to clear these things. This is why I love to have everyone have their own SRC. That's violence. And again, I think that's a collective thing. I don't think we have that strong energy here. But if you are a sensitive energy worker, you may very often be entangling, which brings up another point. You may see an acceleration in spiritual attack just if you're really focused on helping others. I don't know how to comment on that. This is non-beneficial information from past life blueprint. They were still going from yesterday on that. I'm not going to show all of these because I'm not sure that it's all. Are y'all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because my machine froze again. Okay, good. We'll definitely have a little challenge with our machine at this moment in time. When this happens, which has been happening lately, I'm going to do the real task manager real quickly and just let it scan up and down a little bit. Sometimes that just takes care of this. Now let's see if I can get my... Nope. We may be in the doghouse for some reason we don't know. Well, let's just go ahead and go back to the... So we come up, top, feel good. Let's enlarge this. Stomach, body, chi replenish, muscle regions. That mold, we're going to have to really look at that. That's coming up quite a bit. Remember, 100% of us are addicted in some form to something, even just to our current reality. Let's just check the vitality of the small intestine. Oh, there we go. Yay! All right, so here we are. We're ready. I'm just going through this group work for this sustenance balancer. And again, this would be something just to start doing on a regular basis, probably more so than we have. I'm going to start doing it with the group and myself and a few individuals. But something to think about, just make a list to scan of what's already programmed in, along with maybe some of your supplements, and send it energetically as well, so that we could amp up that vitality of the small intestine a little. Lymph is another. Let's check out the vitality of the lymphatic system. The small intestine in the meridian. Depression, which is now we have that awareness. See, and this is the type of thing we're seeing, and it's just very interesting. So I'll go ahead and do the prayer warrior work later. I'm not going to show that. Penny for your thoughts, $20 to act it out. Willing to serve, psychic, spiritual balance. Just take a look at that. Couldn't hurt to add that to the shin. This is interesting.
I think I've ever seen that come up before.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just see what we're... I believe we've been given the tools to handle all of these things. And to me, look at all the wonderful things we have in this age, too. So we just have been given some tools to handle some of the non-beneficial aspects. It's just... And this is all subtle energy. Look at that. Self-pity. Oh, my goodness. We don't want that. Oh, that's not significant. I don't know why it came up. This is major right here. Then when you get down to, significance right here, among other things, is what we're working towards. This and a rise in voltage, balance the subtle bodies. This is interesting. This might not be the kind of stagnation we're thinking about. It could be, all these energy fields around us, but they're not static, they're swirling. And maybe it's hard to say, but let's just go ahead and put it in the Gong. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and change all negative behavior, remove all imposed restrictions, increase all my energies are added to what we put in up here. And it looks like that's it. So anything to add?
No. If nobody has anything to add, can I ask Kevin a quick question, please? Sure. Kevin, last night I did the updater, and the last one it was updating, it said the updater needed to be updated. And then when I hit OK, it says, can we close this window? And when I close the window, then of course everything closes.
Yeah, there may be an error in that. Give me your team viewer when this is done.
Okay, I'll text you. I'll set it up and text you. Thank you.
Okay, so that's it. And there is one last thing. Let me real quickly show you if I can find it in here. All right, I'm not going to take a lot of time, but we are still working with the mediator to align. So we'll get back to that on Monday. I'll show you where we are. But okay, that's it.
Thank you so much.
Kathy.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Cathy.
This concludes the SRC4u Zoom call. Thank you for being with us. We look forward to seeing you again. Till then, take care and be well.